to class 4. Now, this class is looking at ratio analysis. Ratio analysis is actually an important part if you're being a manager to actually start to analyse some financial statements. So, there are 3 categories of ratios that we're going to be looking at in this course. First category is the profitability ratios. These ones look at profit and performance, so we focus on the income statement. Second ones are called operational ratios. This is new for this year. These are hospitality specific ratios. So you're going to see that they relate to hotels, guests booking in, or restaurant as well. So that's operational ratios. Third one is financial stability ratios. Now we'll do this in the next class. These ones look at the balance sheet. So I've got the PowerPoint open. So I'm looking at, well, why do it? Well, it can help us compare our performance. So we can look at the change between years. So what happened last year, what happened this year. But more importantly is we can compare businesses together. So we can actually compare, a very large business in Auckland, maybe it's the Crown Plaza or something in Auckland, to a small hotel here in New Plymouth. If we use ratio analysis, we can actually start to put everything on a level playing field, because ratios are normally stated maybe as to 1 or a percentage, and so everything is the same. So we're going to give you some tools later on also about benchmarking as well. There's actually some sites that you can actually access a lot of the data for hotels in New Zealand and actually look at what real hotels are performing like in New Zealand. Okay, so yes, we can do year-on-year analysis. What happened this year, what happened last year? That's within the hotel. But then we can also compare it to maybe a budget. So what did we want to achieve? Maybe what was our profit margin ratio? What did we want that to be? But then if you're part of a bigger chain of hotels, each individual hotel, the performance is compared to each other one. And so it's always a game, which one got the best ratio for this year and who's improving. So that is another part, if you're part of a bigger chain. And finally, we can use it for industry averages, which is what's called benchmarking. So benchmarking just looks at, anonymous data from other hotels in the industry, and how do we compare to those stats. Right, so looked at, these are the 3 types that we're looking at. First part, profit performance ratios or profitability ratios. These are looking at performance. So that's going to be our topic for the first part. Right, so we're going to need the income statement to do all these. As we're going through each of these ratios, you'll see, write down what does it mean, what's a favourable result, what's an unfavourable result, and what should they be aiming for. So, first one there is the operating profit margin ratio. Calculated simply, take our net profit plus our interest expense divided by net sales. What this does is it gives us how much the business ends up keeping after taking away all the other expenses. So think of it as, if the result comes out at maybe 10%, that means for every $1 of sales, they get to keep 10 cents, and every dollar as net profit. Now there is this little adjustment here of interest expense. This is just adding in back interest so that you get the operating profit. Some businesses borrow a lot of money, some businesses don't borrow much money at all. And so this actually puts it all back on the level playing field. It doesn't matter whether you've you borrowed heaps or not much. This looks at the operations part. So, results for this, the higher the better. So if we have a result of 10%, that's not bad. But we want this trend to be increasing all the time. So the higher, the better. And it's expressed as a percentage. So you'll see in the workbook, on the ratios, we can times this by 100. We'll get it into a percentage. Although you can do this in Excel, you don't need to times it by 100 if you're doing it here. You can make Excel do it for you. Right, the next one, now if you've done operations, you probably would have seen this one before. This next one is the food cost percentage. So this looks at cost of food. Cost of food, or cost of food sold, divided by our food sales times 100. This gives us our percentage that we are spending for every dollar of food sales on the product. So I know there's some percentages about, it might be spending 30% on our food. So for every dollar of sales, they're spending 30 cents on the actual food materials to prepare that dish. Now obviously with this one, this is an expense related one, we want this to be as low as possible. Okay, so the lower it is, the better it is. However, there's some interesting videos in Canvas that I've put there, and it does differ depending on your business, depending on your restaurant, depending on service level, okay, depending on what dishes you are serving. So maybe a high-class restaurant might be able to mark things up more because of the ambience that they're selling. Whereas, cafe can't mark things up quite as much, so the food cost would rise. And then you get to a takeaway shop. Takeaway shops, can be as high as 80 or 90%. Could be the cost price, food cost percentage. So it does depend on the service level and actually, the restaurant itself. There are some industry averages. You'll find those in the readings on Canvas as well. So that makes this some good reading. Okay, but generally, the lower the better means more profit. Okay, the next percentage we have is called the labour cost percentage. So we have total labour costs divided by our total revenue or net sales. You have to add up all the labour related items. So you might have direct wages that you pay, but then you might also have superannuation, you might have some other allowances, maybe a vehicle that you're giving to staff. So that's total labour expenses. So make sure you include other expenses as well. So total labour expenses divided by net sales times 100. So this says for every $1 of sales that we make, how much are we spending on our staff? And obviously we want this to be as low as possible. The lower, the better. But, that could be, up to half of all our revenue we have to spend on staff. This is a reality of running a hotel, which is a very service-based thing. You have to have the staff on hand. That's not to say you can be more efficient, you can use technology to make things be efficient as well, but there are some costs involved in running the hotel. So, the lower the better. The next percentage is very linked to this one. It's the prime cost percentage. The only change is that we add in cost of sales. So cost of sales plus all our labour expenses on the top line, you have the equal sign to make that calculate first, divided by higher. Now, this is our total direct expenses. So if you were doing a manufacturing, maybe a factory, this is all the running costs involved in making your things, doing the factory floor. Now, think of it like a hotel. These are all the things that we have to do to make our hotel run. We have to have our staff there, we have to have buy our food in for the restaurant and the beverages. Now, this doesn't include overheads like electricity, rent, all these other things that we have to pay. So these are more our variable costs, the things that change with the amount of sales that we have. So that's the prime cost. So again, lower the better. Okay, the next two are related to inventory. And they're not percentages. The next one is the inventory turnover ratio. So, we go cost of sales so we have inventory turnover rate, so we have cost of sales divided by the average inventory. This shows us how many times in 1 year we sell our inventory. So it's going to be a number, and that's the number of times per year that we have sold that inventory. Now, average inventory, if you're not sure how to calculate that, well, easy. We have our opening inventory plus closing inventory divided by 2. Sorry if that's outside. So it's opening inventory plus the closing inventory. So you add that together and then divide it by 2. If you're doing this in Excel, you will have to make sure you put that first part in brackets, opening plus closing. That needs to be in one set of brackets, then divided by 2, and again close that brackets again. And that will give you the average inventory that's being held by the business. So, this is the number of times that it's been sold throughout the year. So, the higher this is, it means that that inventory is being sold more often, and which is often a good thing, because it means that customers are demanding more, you're selling more items. It can mean that you don't have the best ordering system, so maybe you're not ordering as much in each go, so you might need to hold more inventory. But generally, if you have a higher inventory turnover, that means that you have less wastage. A low inventory turnover might mean that you're not selling as many items and you're having to hold things a lot more. And this comes into the next ratio, which is the days inventory on hand, which actually uses the result of this. So, we take the number of days that we're open, maybe it's 365, divided by the inventory turnover ratio. So this is the same number that we calculated before, inventory turnover ratio. So maybe it's 365 days a year, and we turned over things 10 times in a year. It means that on average, inventory is sticking around for 36 days. Now, again, if your inventory turnover ratio is higher, this means that the number of days that things are being held for are lower. So it is linked. Again, less number of days on hand is generally a good thing. Right. That's the end of the profitability ratios. We're now going to look at 4 operational ratios. So we're going to look at 4 operational ratios that are used just in the hotel and hospitality sector. So the first one is the average food check, or the average spend per person. average food check is the net food sales divided by the covers. The covers is the number of people served or number of people in the restaurant. So this gives what the average person has spent in the restaurant. So obviously the height, so this is a dollar figure, and maybe it's $20 is the result. We want this to be as high as possible. So average per person, we want it to be high. Now start thinking about, how could we make this better? Upselling is a good idea. Menu, quality of food, all these sort of things. How can we make the average spend higher and extract as much revenue we can out of each customer? Okay, so that's the one related to restaurants. We're now going to look at 3 that relate to the rooms department, and we're actually going to revisit these in the revenue management section as well. First one is the average room rate, or ARR. And this is net room sales room sales, sorry if that's going wrong, net room sales divided by paid rooms occupied. Or this could also be the number of rooms sold, the actual number of rooms sold in a period. So you look at revenue for the month, revenue for the year, divided by the number of rooms sold during that year, and that gives you the average room rate or the average daily rate, ADR. This is a dollar figure. Again, the higher the better this is. This is the average amount that a guest is paid for their room. Now, it's not the only ratio that we're going to be looking at. We're going to be looking at another one that's probably slightly more important, but it's a good basis to see, okay, what is the average person spending on our rooms? Okay, the next one is an occupancy rate. The occupancy rate looks at, again, the number of rooms booked, that same number, divided by total available rooms. So total number of rooms booked divided by total available rooms. Times it by 100, so you get a percentage, and maybe it comes out at 85%. This means that of all the rooms that we have available for a period, we sold maybe 85% of them, which means 15% were vacant during that time. So we want to fill as many rooms as we can, so the higher the better this is. Now if you get figures, say for example, for a month, and it says, okay, they had 50 rooms. Now, you're going to need to times it by the number of days that is in that month. So maybe there's 31 days in that month, or maybe 30 days. You need to multiply it and find out, well, how many total rooms could have been sold during that 1 month. So do multiply it by the number of days. Right, so occupancy rate, it's a percentage, the higher the better. Now this comes into the last ratio that we're going to be covering in this session, and it's called Rev Par. Now the bottom stays the same, and at the top we've got net room sales divided by total available rooms, and we don't need it 100% anymore. It gives us a dollar figure. And in some ways, this ratio is actually one of the most important ratios in looking at a hotel's performance. Because it takes in the 2 factors that we've just looked at. Average daily rate, what people are paying, but it also looks at occupancy. It takes that into account. So if you've got a really good average daily rate, but your occupancy is poor, so you haven't filled many rooms, then RevPAR will be affected and will actually drop. So this looks at the whole holistic part of operating the hotel. You know, what am I actually getting for every room that I have on the property, and am I able to maximise that revenue in total for every single room? We'll look at more of this in revenue management, but that's the objective of revenue managers, is basically to maximise revenue by filling every room and maximising what people will pay for every single room. Okay, so in Canvas, you've got them, or also in your workbook, you've got a few scenarios that you can work out. You can do the profitability ratios, you can look at the operational ratios as well, for hotel floor, quorum, you know, do as many, start calculating them and be comfortable. Right, once you've done that, start to analyse. Start to analyse, is it a favourable result, unfavourable result from what we've been talking about as well. Okay, thank you very much.